Hey, this is Pocket Gamer with the 10 best iPhone, iPad and iPod touch games that were released in February 2014. The selection is generally based on our review scores, so go to pocketgamer.co.uk to get full reviews of any game on this list. Space is a dangerous place. Your ship could run out of fuel, you could run afoul of a hostile alien species, you could be sucked into a vortex, your finger could get lopped off by machinery. All of these things could and probably will happen in the course of randomly generated astro-roguelike out there. One bad decision or just some dumb luck and your dreams of intergalactic exploration will be cut short. But you'll be raring to start again with a new ship and a new sense of adventure in the hopes of flying just a little bit farther and seeing something completely new. With the possible exception of Flappy Bird, no game has managed to hijack my Twitter feed this month quite like the hazardously compulsive score-chasing puzzler Threes. The idea in this game is very simple. You shift numbered tiles around a cramped 4x4 grid and squeeze identical tiles into one another to add their face values and dramatically boost your score. It's heaps of fun, and by refusing to go completely minimalist, Threes has a terrifically pudgy, characterful and organic feel that helps it stand out from the pack. The battles you fought in Painterly RTS Autumn Dynasty are just one pillar in 4X epic Autumn Dynasty Warlords. They're the 4th X, Exterminate. This sequel pulls back the camera and greatly expands the scope, so you have to look after an entire empire, explore China, forge unstable alliances and generally be the biggest badass in the land. Luckily, everything is made bite-sized and mobile-friendly, meaning you can sneak in a few minutes of warlording on the bus instead of needing to dedicate hours to the game. Steph Thirian's intergalactic multi-touch multitasker Eliss was one of the first games to make us sit up and pay attention to iOS as a new home for indie ingenuity. Now, 4 years later, the game is back with a tremendous Director's Cut remaster that only adds to the abstract original and never takes away. You're still spinning plates to split and separate planets before tossing them into black holes, but now it has such features as iPad support, retouched art and a nail-biting endless mode. So, Jet Li's cult classic sci-fi action film The One failed to win over the critics, but its legacy lives on as inspiration for this gutsy indie brawler. Specifically, Only One plays on the movie's end credits scene where Jet Li fends off hundreds of fighters on the top of a tower. As such, your lanky, pixelated hero must do battle with endless waves of baddies without accidentally toppling off into the abyss. It's simple, it's lo-fi, it's ridiculous, and it's really quite terrific. Card games are so often these self-serious, po-faced affairs, aren't they? They're filled with dragons and warlocks and verbose descriptions, all in the hopes that you might just forget you're laying rectangles of sun-faded cardboard onto a table. Ludosity's Card City Nights revels in the absurdity of its premise, with silly characters, a quirky sense of humour and a knowingly over-the-top story at its core. It's also a cracking card battler, with an original idea about making cards point at each other with little arrows, and some truly exciting battles. Final Fantasy VI, or Final Fantasy III if you're American, or Tough Luck if you're British, is often considered to be the best entry of the entire Final Fantasy series. This is a massive RPG with an epic storyline of subjugation and genocide which spans across 2 worlds and stars 14 playable characters. It's also a surprisingly emotional game, and the mere mention of some scenes can turn 30-something men into blubbering wrecks. So while this iOS port might replace the iconic sprites with citizens from the blob dimension and sport some new options that might rile purists, this could be your best option to finally remove Final Fantasy VI from your I should probably play that list. I'm sure you can think of more effective tools for winning a war, but feisty head-to-head board game conversion Kahuna does battle with bridges. As warring Polynesian gods, you exert your dominance over the game's scattered islands by building bridges between neighbouring peninsulas, but in a vicious twist, if someone gets control of an island, all his competitors' bridges which connect there are destroyed, meaning one smart move or one lucky card can transform the game state in the blink of an eye. Kahuna is smart, tense, and works wonderfully on iPad. You might think that a card-battling, lane-based strategy game with 8-bit graphics and maths puzzles would struggle to find an audience, but everyone I know has been utterly obsessed with Calculords. In this comedy card game, you can only deploy a unit, whether that's a tank, an alien soldier, or a tremendous laser beam, if you manage to manipulate a pool of digits to arrive at the number on the troop's card. It's wonderfully creative, and between that deep strategic backbone and the addictive thrill of toying with numbers, it will keep you glued to your iPad. Okay, so from this video, it's obvious that February has been a month for deep games. It's all epic RPGs, complex 4X strategy games, and gigantic space thrillers. If that's all a bit much, try the simple thrills of pixelated platformer Super Obstacle Boy. It's no walk in the park, mind you. This sketchy, skittish, rough-edge retro mess will test your mettle in every level with jumping challenges, giant spike pits, and surprising twists, so buy a nice protective case for your iPhone before you start playing.